This video is continuation my previous video, in which I taught about custom ortodrome. In this video I tell about primary or general ortodromy and use it in navigation of flights. In this video I don't tell about startup with aircrafts. I tell only about navigation system. I create my flight plan using flysim commander. This flight plan is very short. It considers 2 points with and airport of arrival, with departure at the Washington DC airport and arrival at New York KJFK. To calculate flight plan using this video I load it in my utility. You can download this utility by link shown in describe of this video. I load my flight plan this file, and you see the standard instrumental departure procedure, base flight plan with 2 points in it, and these points is standard arrival to airports and this approach to runway. Now I'm going to aircrafts, set this utility at top of Windows. With Il-76, it's the best Russian aircrafts. It states it's ready for taxi. Now I'm set up the gauges to ready to flights. Go to vehicle menu, instrumental panel, copilot panel, and this panel I alignments artificial horizontal indicator. Press this K button and now it alignments. Close this panel, press Shift and 1 key, and the main panel of primary pilots I alignments it horizontal indicator and standby horizontal indicator to press and hold this button. Close this panel, press Shift and 7 key, set the fuel pump to up with all switches to up position. Fuel pump is now ready. Close this panel. And now I forgot at this panel, press this button and this lamp is disengaged. Close this panel, Shift and 1 key to set course of runway lights if you need. I planning to take off at this runway 01 runway, it's course 005, and I set it course on with gauges And now I close this panel and go to overhead panel. At this panel I can set up navigation lights, beacon lights, turn on radio, turn on heating of pitot tubes, and in this gauges I set ILS frequency. 109.9. With frequency. Turn on the voice recorder. Turn on no smoking, and I set runway lights.
Фары выключены, убраны.
And now I close this panel and go to the navigation system panel. Press Shift and 4 key in this model. Turn on primary power up switch, and now you need alignments precise navigation system. Set this and this switch to control position. Set magnetic corrections. Press Shift Z key and see latitude 38 and set this value using this selector with latitude. And now I press and hold alignments button until this arrow is stopped. And now I turn this and this switch to up position and press and hold again this button and hold it until this arrow not stop. When I press this button until this two arrow is not show same position, and set these gauges to central position. And now I press Shift 8 key. This little panel is part of this big panel. It's state of two set of gauges. These three gauges describe first legs of flight plan, and these three gauges describe second legs of flight plan. These two gauges set the coordinate of next legs of flight plan, always next leg. Program using these gauges, and these four gauges using to set coordinates and course, true course of beacon using to correction of flight plan. this switch is set first legs or second legs of flight plan. At this position, automatic change of the legs of flight plan and navigation system. I resize this windows so you can see this panel and this panel. I set first legs to current legs, and now I set general ortodromy, and you see coordinates X and Y at these two gauges. And now I tune up program PPM, program plan points, with 10 points is pre-programming points using to arrival, approach or departure. And now I tune up short distance switch. Turn on landing mode. In this mode, using this 10 button lamp, and this same 10 button lamp. And now we ready to programming these coordinates. This coordinate system is same to Cartesian coordinate system. The point starts of this coordinate system at runway H. Runway, if you departure, this runway of departure. If you arrival, this runway or approach this runway on which you are planning to land in. In my cases, I planning take off from this runway, and my coordinate system start at these points of H of runway, and my utility calculates these coordinates, coordinate X and coordinate Y. In these cases, X -2 and Y 6.8. To program in this first point, I press this key button, and you see this lamp is flashing because coordinates is 0, 0 and 0, and I set to this minus at this position and mouse zone. I set to this negative, and Y coordinates 6.8. I'm sorry, not in these gauges. In these gauges you see this coordinates system. And now I set course of my runway of takeoff with 005 and add these gauges. With course of this runway. And now I can program these, and these points in this system, all same of these points as you wish. I program these points to 1 points, and now I program these points to seconds points. Press this button key and set the coordinates of these points. 7.2 is negative. You control you in on these gauges, and Y coordinates 12.5. You control it's these gauges. Now I program third points. I may program all 10 points to departure or all 10 points to approach. In my cases I program 4 points to departure or 5 points and 4 points to approach. Now I program these points. (3.1) x coordinates with negative. This value, and 22.7 to y coordinates. And now I program these points to 4 position, 9.7 x coordinates with positive value. This value, and 20 of y coordinates. And now I program 5 points. That is these points. 23.1 x coordinates. And 15.6 with negative in the y coordinates. And if you need, you can control all of these points, press this button, and this and these gauges show you coordinates of the points, coordinates of points 1, of points 2, of points 3, of point 4, and of point 5. Now I program my approach. If I program at this time, I can program 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10 points in these gauges. If I program at arrival, I can use all of these points to program approach procedure. Now I program 4 points. I program these points, these points, and these points. You can program all of these points if you need. This program, these points coordinates calculates of this runway, and I store x 15.2 x coordinates, I set at 8 points, click on this and program. (15.2) in positive value and 190.1 negative value of y coordinates. And next I program these points. I ignore these 4 points. X coordinates 30.1. And y coordinates is 60.6 in negative value. And last point I programming x, it's 10 points. X coordinates is 0.4. This value, and y coordinates 90.5 in negative value. And that's all. we programming navigation calculator to approach or to departure with 5 points and with 3 points to arrival. And now I close this panel at this time and this panel at this time. And now I'm set stabilizer. I using my joystick and increase value before this lamp is show off. This moment and this stabilizer position. Now I set my flaps.
Закрылки выпускаются синхронно, стабилизатор перекладывается на кабрирование.
And at 15 position, and now I see 2 red lamps with parking brakes on, and these lamps show me that this switch turn the nose landing gear control is on or off. And now it's on position because we are taxi to runway. I press Shift 2 key and control my flaps position. I set 15. 20. To take off, power up my autopilots, close core, and set my runway course using this selector 05, my course using these rings at the autopilots. Now I close this panel and we are ready to tow. Parking brakes is off. Press Shift P key. And now I am towing. To orientation at the airports and to control my flights, I connect my utility to the simulator and I see the marker of my aircrafts at airports. I need to taxi to this position. And now I can press Shift and P key again to stop towing. Power up of my engines. And taxi to my runway. In these flights I using Syrian government's aircrafts. You need to set the altimeters to 0 position if you use a custom weather. I use default weather on these flights, and I not set the altimeters, it's stay at the 0 always over flights. I stop and wait for this aircraft to take off. I set runway lights at the overheads. And when it take off, I'm going to runway. Alignment aircrafts to runway light. Stop at this position. And now I'm turn off nose chassis tuning. No red lights at all of this position. Correction occurs of runway lights. runway. You see glide slope line at HSI. Close with panel. I use this panel at flights to change my points. At this panel you need start calculation. The points X and points Y at this position need to set to 0. In my case it's 0 gain. Start calculation, digital calculation. In the bottom position of the switch analog, start an analog calculation and not use this mode of 2 flights. And you can see this lamp show you the navigation calculator start up calculating all the flights, and we are ready to take off. Close my windows, and now we're ready for takeoff. If you set this selected navigation position, you can see first leg course on HSI. I set it at this time for comfort. Set power to take off.
Режим взлетный, рот держать. Взлетаем, рубеж 200 полсотни. Двигатели на взлетном.
The first officer set it to me.
Скорость растет.
Speed up, say first officer.
160. 180. 200.
20.
220.
200.
Шести убрать. Скорость мала.
Gear up.
40. Фары выключить, убрать. 60.
Trim my aircrafts.
120. Скорость мала.
I turn up autopilots to stabilization. Auto throttle. Increase my speeds. This button is flashing and I now press 2 button and L navigation, landing navigation, and my autopilots
Скорость мала.
engage. Flaps up to one position.
Закрылки убираются синхронно. Стабилизатор перекладывается к нулю. Режим номинальный.
And go for tack.
Номинал установлен. Скорость
Disengage the vertical control of my aircrafts because I warning the not properly and go for tack.
мала. Скорость мала.
When my 2 button is flashing, I press 3 button and the aircraft is going to point 3 of my flight plan. I reduce my vertical angle, vertical speeds. using this selector. And now we are turned to next points. I set altimeter at fits. My free button lamp is flashing, and now I can turn to my 4 points. I'm pause with them because I show you where we. I'm take off from these points with my first points of my ortodromy. When I programming these points, and when I programming these points, it will linear tune anticipation. My button lamp is flashing, and now I press 4 key, and my aircrafts tune into next waypoints. I decrease vertical speeds. It's very big. And you see this tuning to the course to the next points. We're flying at the shortly direction to these points, and at the linear tune anticipation, this button lamp is flashing, and I'm going to these last points of my current seats. What moments you see, and now I'm press 5 button key, and my pre-programming system tune into next points at the standard instrumental departure. At these legs I exchange my navigation system to custom orthodromy. Now we are in direct on mine or prime orthodromy of these aircrafts, and when I flying these legs and these legs at the custom orthodromy system. My aircraft's alignment to next legs of flight plan. Now I turn on hold my altitude, my flight level at this flight plan 10,000 feet. I am not flying height at this flight plan, and now I can set the next these legs to custom orthodromy. To do this, I'm going to my panel, not turn or switch its autopilot panel at this moment. And now I set this point to marshroute, to flight plan, turn off this switch, and go at custom orthodromy. Now And that's all. This lamp and this lamp is go out. Lights of this lamp and this lamp and go out. And you can program my next legs at the custom ortodromy system. This point name it book. With book to PXT. Course of this line is 71.1. Set this course on with gauges, and at this gauges reset coordinates Z to 0, and 0, and set distance of these points, of these legs of flight plan. With legs. It's 30 kilometers. And I set this value at this coordinate counter with negative value. And that's all. We're ready to fly at this short legs. And when I program these legs at the navigation system, when I go to the primary ortodromy again to set up the landing of my aircrafts. At this moment I close this panel. "10,000 feet is beautiful altitude to see the view of Prepar3D. And now I see mistake, of course, of this legs of flight plan. This course of legs is 127, not 71.1, and I set this course. I reduce my speeds to 400 kilometers per hour. And now my aircrafts automatically change flight plan legs. This pack of gauges is now active, and I set my next legs with legs. Its course 71.1. With value and distance of this legs, length of these legs is 180.7 kilometers, and I set this value to this gauges with negative value. This value of these legs, and at next legs I set my navigation system to custom ortodromy, to prime mine ortodromy. 7 kilometers to my next flight plan legs. After these legs, at these legs I change my coordinate systems, and if you need, you can flights at the custom ortodromy to end of this flight using this and these parameters. I change my coordinate system, for example, only. Now aircraft tuning to these legs. And I program next legs. I program these legs at the custom ortodromy. This is these legs. .28. And course of these legs 57.7. This course and this length of these legs. .103 kilometers to change flight plan legs. Best weather and good Prepar3D picture. If you need alignments where craft course to line of legs, if linear anticipation is very big, linear deviation, sorry, you can change Z coordinates to shift the aircrafts to left on to right. For example, linear deviation is 180 meters, 190 meters, and I change my Z coordinates. If I change in plus value, the aircrafts flying to left, shift to left. If I change Z coordinates in negative value, 1 kilometers, I set now, the aircraft shift to right. And when alignments to course line again. Five kilometers to next legs, and to change the coordinate system. The change of coordinate system is same procedure to change it to a minor ortodromy with inverse procedure. I press Shift and 4 key, with free gauges, when aircraft is alignment to next course line. I set the course of my landing runway. This course is 0.45. I set these values in these gauges. Course on landing runways. And when I set the coordinates of these points, its current endpoints of my current legs, its coordinates 15.2. I pause my sim. In these gauges I set x coordinates, and in these gauges I set y coordinates, 190 negative. When I set the coordinates, my next flight points in the primary or minor ortodromy, I set with switch to landing position, with switch to minor ortodromy, program points, and shortly direct. And that's all. I close my windows and set continue the flights. And now I am flights at the ortodromy system, coordinate system at my landing runway. My first point program to this 8 points, and if I click it, you see not change at this time, it's normal. It's show me when I write program my autopilots and navigation system, and my aircrafts continue flying off my runway, off my current legs. When I press this button key, I go to these points. I program it. If I program these points, or these points in these buttons, I go to it. Because I not do this, I go to my point. In my cases it is these points. And that's all. To know to programming this navigation system in the IL-76. I increase my speed time, my time. Kilometers, 16, 15 kilometers. When my button lamp is flashing, I press next lamp. That's with moments. I press next button lamp, and my aircraft's now directly flying to these points. At these points descend my aircrafts and landing at the JFK airports. If you can use the LS system at the airport of arrival, you can set it, press Shift 1 key, set the course on the runway. You can land in 045. And at the overhead I set frequency of my LS 110.9 with frequency. I don't turn off my runway lights because my flight level is 10,000. And by 10 points, it is with points, and it's with points I set my course system, my autopilot to approach and landing. Eight kilometers to my next flight points. Set normal time speeds at these moments, and at these points I flashing button lamp and I press next points. This is the end points in my cases. If you need, you can program any points in these gauges, calculators and programs. I program these points only, for example, (132 kilometers to edge of runway with calculator of descent, and at these points I descending my aircrafts to runway. And if you need, you can descend anytime. Set with selector. Click mouse at this position and aircrafts now descending to the runway. I increase descent speed. At the 8 kilometers of my end flight point, I close my navigation system, and not need for me. I set course stabilization system. This is my glide slope. I set course of my runway. At the HSI 45. And crash descents. Flaps to first position.
Ровно стабилизатор перекладывается на кабрирование.
Oh, you see my AirPods.
Идем ниже.
I'm under glide slope. And I can set vertical stabilization. Set auto throttle tone. Gears down.
Идем правее.
And now my autopilot to on, off, because I
Шасси выключено, 3 зеленые горят.
not correctly set my center of gravity, and I correction my flights manually, and now I can start again and again. Angle of attack is not properly, and when I manual landing,
Скорость мала.
I am a little increase the speeds. And now I again turn on my autopilots and capture my glide slope.
Закрылки 20, выпускаются синхронно.
Flaps 20
Скорость мала.
and aircraft in the landing configuration.
Механизация выпущена. Скорость мала.
And I see an issue on my autopilots.
Скорость мала. Скорость мала.
Don't sink. Don't sink. Don't sink. Don't sink. Don't sink. Don't sink. Don't sink.
Скорость мала.
Don't sink.
250 метров.
Don't sink. Don't sink. Don't sink. Don't sink. Don't sink.
200 метров.
Don't sink. Don't sink. Don't sink. Don't sink. Don't sink.
150
Don't
метров.
sink. Don't sink.
150 meters.
Don't sink.
100 метров.
Sink rate.
Оценка 80.
Sink rate.
Садимся. 60. Крутое снижение. 100.
Sink
40.
rate.
30. 20. 15. 10.
Малый вес.
7. 5. 4. 2. 1. Посадка.
Landing.
180. 160. 140.
140 kilometers per hour.
120.
Reverses go off. Ready to taxi. Close my autopilots.
Механизацию убрать.
Turn on my chassis control. Flaps up.
Фары выключены, убраны.
Runway lights. Taxi lights is coming on. And I stop at this position to show you
Механизация убрана.
how I landed. It's view to my landing at nearest beacon,
200 метров.
nearest tower.
150 метров. 100 метров. Оценка 80. Садимся. 60. Крутое снижение. 100. 40. 30. 20. 15. 10.
10 meters,
Малый газ.
7 meters, 5 meters, 4 meters, 2 meters, 1.
Посадка.
Landed.
Приложить.
Reverse is coming on.
160. 140.
And other view.
30. 20. 15. 10. Малый газ. 5. 4. 2. 1. 200. Посадка. Приложить. 180. 160. 140. 120.
Beautiful model. And now I am taxiing to nearest parking. For example, at this parking. And that's all. Set the parking brakes, and now I can shut down my engine if I need. Turn off my navigation system. And this is the end of these flights. New York airports, Il-76, Prepar3D, and I say goodbye to you.